So AJ, how's your day been?
My day's been fantastic. It was even better when we got off to a fantastic start with this podcast, and then we had some heavy lag George's end, so we've had to restart. But yeah, my day's been good. To sort of recap, I've we were talking about check-ins and the fact that we do busier days, quieter days, and today's been a busier day for both myself and George. And I find like definitely at this stage in a lot of people's journeys in this year, especially. We're coming to the start of preps. We're also coming to a little bit of a green light on getting an idea as to when the gyms are going to reopen. So coaching is getting a little bit more fun again. I know it's never not fun, but the fun definitely gets stripped out of it slightly when you are just programming home workouts and you turn from what is a coach to like, I find I drain a lot of my energy trying to motivate people. Do you agree with that?
100%. It's difficult because I don't know about you, mate, but when it comes to motivation, like I just do it. Like it's just become a part of my life now that I do it and I don't question motivation. It's just a part of my day. So for people that struggle with that side of things, I really struggle to answer actually, as bad as it sounds, because I don't need motivation to do what I do. It's just a part of my daily thing. And I just do it like whatever time I train, I just do it regardless. Like I think, yeah, you must admit, when it gets on later on the day, you're thinking, oh, I don't really want to train as much now to an extent, but you still get it done. You just go because it's a part of the routine. It's a part of your day. So yeah, mate, I do struggle when that comes up in the check-ins and people tell me I'm struggling with motivation. What do I do? And I'm just like, just make it part of your routine. Just spend more time doing day in, day out the same sort of stuff, and then it becomes a habit, and then you just need to do it. You don't have to worry about that, but it's a lot easier said than done, isn't it, when it comes to that side of things?
Mm, absolutely. I think to be honest, like now that we've got a little bit more of an understanding as to when gyms are actually going to reopen,
Mm.
people should be able to have that finish line aspect of what we're working with now. Um, I also think that a lot of people right now are struggling from the perspective of they're not that motivated, so they're riding on discipline. But as a byproduct of riding on discipline, they view training as getting it done rather than enjoying it. So they view it as a task. They view it as a chore, as a box to tick off.
Mm.
And that's a problem, in my opinion, because as soon as you start to view training as a chore or view training as a task, like even when you go back to the gym, like that mindset switch that you've had to change it from something that you really look forward to now you're like viewing it as a sort of like a box in your diary, just like tick,
Mm.
or get it out of the way kind of thing. And that's the mindset I'm trying to avoid my clients going into, is feeling like they're having to sort of drag themselves through sessions. So we talked about it actually a little bit in the first intro that we did about how, it's a struggle not to create like a new training program or something like that every time. And the reality is you're not going to be able to do that. But there are instances where maybe you get a check-in and a client's like dead on motivation, and you just chuck in something like, I don't know, a new intensity method. So they might be doing squats, for example. I've done this with quite a few clients recently. They're just doing squats. One week they'll be struggling to progress a squat pattern, and they're the type of individual that does need a little bit of something new to try and motivate them. So I'll just chuck in like 1.5 rep squats, where you come to the bottom, you go up to the middle, you go back down to the bottom, and all the way to the top. You've done them before, right? I think I put them in a program of yours. And then they'll come back and be like, oh, I love the 1.5 rep squats. And like, last week they hated squats, and now they kind of like them again because it's just something new, which I get, and I sit here, all honesty, like I've got access to a training facility, I've got access to a gym. It's not my normal gym, but it's a gym,
Yeah.
and I sit here and I know how hard it is for the clients that are operating on very limited equipment. I can put myself in their shoes. So I don't want people to think that I'm just, I'm living life as normal and, not really having any empathy for those clients, because I think you have to understand, you have to have that empathy. And, you know, I went through like the first lockdown. I was, for a long time before I invested in more kit, I was training with a barbell for at least 4 or 5 weeks before I got the more kit, got a rack, got the leg press, got the hack squat. So yeah, if only I had a garage, I would have just kept all of that. And I probably would have ended just training in the garage during this lockdown, to be honest, because my training situation has been a massive, as much as it's been blessed, it's been a massive ball ache, to be honest, mate.
You want to explain that?
Yeah, I can explain it. So I'm not going to say obviously where, but it's the travel. Like I'm traveling, like, so I have to wake up at 5 to 5:30. I have to work all the way until I eat my pre-workout meal. And I'm eating, the only meal that I get to eat away from my desk is meal 1. I know this sounds like a third world problem, but still, the only meal that I eat away from my desk and like have any chill time is meal 1. The rest I'm eating whilst like watching check-ins.
Yeah.
And then to deliver good feedback, I have to nail all of that up until I train, eat my pre-workout meal, and I'm straight off to the gym. And like some days, mate, my digestion is just fucked because I'm just rushing. You know, when you rush and you just don't have your normal like routine, like your waiting periods and your like nice sit down with a meal, your digestion just starts to scream at you. So it's fucked with my digestion a little bit. And the travel's obviously significant. I mean, it's fine because I get to listen to podcasts and stuff, and I'm still nailing it. Like I think if anything, I realized that maybe when I was training in Rotherham, maybe I was wasting a lot of time, you know, because I used to spend hours and hours in the gym, sit there, you know, write out your logbook. You know, yeah, it's nice to chat with friends and stuff. I definitely think I will still do that. But I think arguably I could get my training done more efficiently, could maybe work with a bit more clients and just have more time. But yeah, so the travel and the routine element of things is just throwing things off for me a lot. And then the certain piece of equipment that, you know, like I've not been able to do any dumbbell work for a while now because the dumbbells are just, you know, they're just, I can't press with them. They're just not, they're just, you know, when you just handle a pair of dumbbells and you're like, nah, these are just not going to work. They're those kind of dumbbells. Dumbbells which basically feel like you're going to get injured rather than train a muscle group. So I've been sticking to more barbell work, which is fine, but then you get niggles and injuries and joint issues. Basically, I'm blessed in a lot of ways, but it's not straightforward for anyone, regardless of the situation you're in. You know, even people that own gyms, you know. So for example, Cube, you should think he's just training in the gym, chilled, nice. No, he's not. You know, he's got stresses left, right, and center about loads of people, like the council, the fucking NutriFast thing, left, right, center, stresses. You know, that's not handy for a pro bodybuilder that their ultimate goal is more muscle. That amount of cataclysmic stress is just not ideal whatsoever. So it's a very hard time for everyone, regardless of the situation you're in.
I must admit, I have learned that I could probably be more efficient with my time because, like, everything with me at the moment is perfect. Like in terms of the training, like I can still train exactly like I did before. Like we've got new kit at the gym as well that no one else has been trying other than me. You know, I'm the first person. They got the Panatta side lateral raise machine, but it's like a side delt, rear delt, and it's like a pec fly one. It's very good. First time using that was really nice, and they got the Panatta like pin loaded leg press as well, which is really good. And I've been able to use it, but one thing I've lacked annoyingly is just how much time I spend in the gym. So I'm used to being 2 hours at least on most sessions, like I said, but I've been having to do it in like an hour and a half, an hour and 45 minutes, which isn't a problem, but I've actually started to realize that I can, instead of me sitting around in the gym, you know, between rest periods, which I obviously will continue doing, you know, I could be a little bit more efficient. I can still get quality sessions done in 90 minutes to an hour and 45 minutes. I can still get it done. It's not ideal, but I can still do some productive work. And for me, sometimes I've spent, you know, 3 hours in the gym and I really think, do I need to be spending 3 hours a day training? I really don't. I can get it done in at least 2. So yeah, just being more efficient with my time. Luckily for me, I need to travel 10 minutes from where I'm from to train. So it's great. It really is. So I'm not complaining about that at all. But yeah, the timing things is very minor. But I'm enjoying. I'm just reminding myself to take fuller fucking advantage, because there are so many people that tell me, oh, I'd love to be in your position, this and that, and I'm thinking, shit, yeah. Because then I think about what I did, and you probably think about training at home again and just having to set up, and I think, fuck that. Especially at the beginning of this year where it's like -2, -3 in the garage. I couldn't think of anything worse. I really couldn't.
Something would go wrong every session. Like every session, something would go wrong. Something would break, something would fall apart. Yeah. And one note on that timing thing is I heard Matt Jansen talk on a podcast that recently said he stopped, like recently before his injury as well, he stopped sort of glorifying the training window so much, and like focusing so much energy around it, and instead just like going into the session a little bit more naturally, which I think is important. I think a lot of people overthink their training. Like they sit down with a logbook, they think about their numbers, they imagine the set, and like, yeah, okay, cool. You need to do some of that. You need to do some of the visualization. But I think when you're overthinking, you overanalyze, you can actually just start to take away some of the enjoyment of being in there, being in the gym, being in that environment, and just, you know, loving training for what it is. But yeah, so other than that, things are good. We've got a fantastic guest with us today. So have you got any anything to say, any thoughts? What was your first opinion when you saw David take to the scene?
I was just like, this is Kai Greene. This is a Kai Greene, as everyone likes to say. I just look and I just think, fucking hell, just muscle bellies, just proportions, just way everything is just the look. And I was like, yeah, this is, you know, a bodybuilder which has fantastic potential. So yeah, I definitely have got a few questions. We've never spoke. Well, we have spoken on Instagram, but I've never spoken in person. So it'll be good to kind of get more background, because obviously with these podcasts, we've kind of stirred away from, you know, people talking about their backgrounds a little bit. But with this one, we want to go into the background.
Yes, we do. Yes,
here he is.
He's in. You good, man?
I'm good. How are you, boys?
We're brilliant. Thank you very much, mate. Thank you massively for joining us. We're really excited. We're really excited for this one for sure, man. So how's your day been so far?
Yeah, it's been good. It's been a rest day. So honestly, it was a good opportunity just to focus on my work. Uni, got essays to do. So just really had to stay structured with that. So the routine's the same, but it's good.
The hair's looking long as well.
Oh, the hair's just getting out of hand, bro.
You going for the Brion look?
I need to get a fresh trim like George. I see him getting a trim. And I'm like, bro, I need mine.
I've personally got to keep the haircuts in, because as soon as this side grows out, the rest of my body just goes. And I don't look after myself until I get a haircut. I've got to do it. My mental health just goes down the drain. It's crazy what a haircut can do.
So Mr. Thorburn, our last guest, got his trim. He literally like dropped about 20 years in a day.
You look awesome. I literally had to post a throwback on Instagram the other day just to remember what I looked like, because it's just ridiculous. But yeah.
So David, I wanted to first of all we'll go into it. We definitely want to know a little bit more about your training background, how you got into bodybuilding for sure. But like, whilst you're on the topic of like the here and now, I think it would be pretty cool to go into a little bit of detail as to actually what's happening with yourself like in this moment here. So talk a little bit more about your studies and what's going on outside of bodybuilding.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm currently in my second year of uni, of a 4-year course.
Okay.
I'm studying international business and entrepreneurship, so that's kind of like taking up a lot of my time. Apart from that, like, we've been in lockdown since, you know, I'm in my third year. I got one more. I got one more year.
You're in some year of uni.
I got one more year to go. So 2022, I finished.
Yeah.
And that's honestly, uni's kind of taking up my life at the moment.
Okay.
And yeah, that's me really, honestly.
And with that, do you plan to take your degree and go directly into work within that degree? Or no? Okay, so you're like most university students.
You know what? It was even when I started going to uni, it was I kind of went to uni I say this to everyone, to kind of like buy time.
Okay.
And it's interesting I say that because although I still want to work hard and I still am working hard at the degree itself, it was like, and I advise no one who's listening to do what I just said. Don't go uni to buy time, because that's terrible.
No.
But it's because I was always good at business, and to learn business anyway would have been cool. And then just develop a passion and see what uni would take me, what kind of routes it would take me, and because still
just on that note, when it comes to uni, because I graduated from uni nearly 3 years ago this year. With I did fitness management and personal training, and I remember beforehand they were offering like, this is what you're going to do on the course, this is the opportunities you're going to get, this and that. Obviously, yes, you've been at uni during a pandemic, so it's been a little bit different, but with like university, has it opened your eyes up to say like, okay, like for me, I was in a position where I still, regardless of whether I enjoyed it or not, I got it done. You know, I still graduated and got a decent qualification, but it wasn't what I wanted to do at the end. And just by being on that course made me realize that isn't what I want to do. With your side of things, have you came to that sort of conclusion, like, okay, university isn't something, or what you are learning about wasn't what you kind of expected or what they promised potentially when you first went to like open evenings and stuff like that?
I mean, I was always gonna go down the route of business anyway. So learning business, you know, I did an A levels, and you know, I'm kind of like business oriented because of my family. They're very much into business. They're both owners of their own business. So it's like, okay, cool. Let me just go learn what it is that they're doing or living out. And so no one really came to me with any sort of promise as to what business will do for me. It was, you know, just kind of like the next step for me, just to go. What I wanted to do was just go and gain some knowledge, and that was it. And so that's why I went to uni. And the uni is very good. It's, you know, I find the course very interesting, but I think more so why, or what I would say to someone why I pay $9,000 a year is more so for the discipline. Legit, like uni's teaching me so much in terms of like the discipline, and it couples very nicely with bodybuilding as well. So that's why, you know, someone might pay $9,000 for like a law degree, which they need to go down the route of becoming a barrister and stuff like that. But me, I think I'm paying a hefty $9,000 a year for just the discipline aspect of it, and it's paying off. And I hope, you know, I'll be able to take what I've learned in uni, which may not just necessarily be the knowledge of the course, but the knowledge about myself within the course, and apply it in, you know, whether I go run a business, whether I go into bodybuilding further and stuff like that. So.
And at the end of the day, you have to grow up. You have to grow up. Like, that's one thing. I was spending obviously I think it's like £9,250 now, something like that, ridiculous. It actually made me, okay, I need to actually be a bit more wiser with what I do in life, like having to be more of an adult, you know, I'm paying bills, that sort of stuff. So it does, for me, staying in uni actually taught me a lot in terms of actually when I was 18, growing up and having to look after myself, because I studied down in Southampton and I live in Luton, so that was, you know, a fair trek away. I couldn't go home every single day. So you got to start, you know, it's just that really sort of started my adulthood, if that makes sense. So I feel like I'm above a lot of people just by doing that, because I've learned how to pay my bills, set up all this, setting up basic things like when you're 18 you wouldn't expect to be doing. So the discipline side of things I can totally relate to as well. 100%. But with university, so how, in terms of bodybuilding now, because obviously a lot of people that follow us are student based, you might have got a question about, like, you know, how do you balance bodybuilding and studying and stuff like that. So is there any sort of protocols that you do in terms of like, I study first and I train, or is it a case of where you fit your training inside, or how do you work around with obviously university?
Okay, so in my first year, I was actually staying on campus, so it was all right for me to fit the gym in as and when around my lectures, and then in my second year I started commuting, so I'd be getting up at, bear in mind my uni's in Southend, so I'll be getting up at 6 a.m. 3-hour journey to Southend, just by train every single day, and so I would go have my lecture at 9 o'clock. And then go to the gym. I'd probably stay in Southend from about 4 p.m. to about 6:30. have my meals there and then come back down and just do it like this. I'd have to fit gym in some way. And there was obviously a gym near my uni, which was awesome. And so I was literally just had study came first. You know, I was paying a lot of money, and I'd always make sure that because the study came first, I didn't have to neglect my training. I'd bring a gym bag with me, and I'd take it on the train, and I'd go do that, and then come back. I'd bring my meals with me. You know, I'd do all these kind of things, and not because I had any desire to even compete at the time, just because I was just used to it, used to training by that point. I was used to just, okay, yeah, we got training at 6 p.m. and that kind of thing. So I was just, yeah. So for people, I'd say just make it a part of your day. And obviously what you're paying to do comes first. But secondly, training is like a healthy lifestyle, I guess. So you might want to just put it in your day at some point. That's what I'd think. But yeah, for sure.
100%. See, I did the complete opposite. I made bodybuilding more a priority than the actual course itself.
Oh, do you know what? Let me not even lie. Like my first year was like that. Like, I'll be honest, my first year was a different representation of me now. Let's just say that. But first year was interesting because like bodybuilding was it. I was training twice a day. And when you're training twice a day and you're very new to the sport as well, it's like food wise, everyone when they starts in bodybuilding as well, they just go low carb. So you can imagine me low carb training two times a day, and my recovery was just non-existent. I was in bed like through my lectures. I was training throughout the day, and then my boys are coming back trying to go to this motive, and it's crazy. So, you know, it's yeah. First year I was like you, bro, for sure. And then once I came home, started again. I could have stayed in uni second year, but I decided to come home, and I decided to stay with my parents and start to get that sort of accountability again, which allowed me to build that habit of, okay, let's take my meals and go to the gym and stuff like that. But it wasn't like that first year at all.
First year is all about, like, you think when I started my first year, it was a case of, right, I'm going to do my best, absolutely try my best.
Yeah.
And then when I found out you only need 40%, I was like, I don't give a fuck. As long as I get 40%, I don't care what the grade is. That second year. And yeah, 100%. So yeah, I could relate to that so much, man. When you speak about uni now, I fucking miss it now. It's crazy. Enjoy it. All I can say is just enjoy the rest of it. You know, final year, my final year, obviously doing dissertation, stuff like that. You think, oh, it's the end of the world, but really, you can still go out, you can still enjoy yourself, you can still keep bodybuilding part of your life. But you just, this stress that comes down upon you, you just think it's the end of the world and you've got nothing else to do with your life. But yeah, man, 100%.
I'm glad I'm not alone, man. Appreciate that.
Awesome. So I think it's smart to actually go back a little bit now from where you're at now, and go into a little bit more of your bodybuilding sort of founding stage. Like when was it that you actually started training with weights, and did prior to that, did you have any sort of like sporting background? Were you competitive in any shape or form prior to actually getting into weight training?
Yeah, so I mean, I used to play football, and during like my sixth form years, I actually was doing all right in football. So I happened to get like a football scholarship to go play for a private school. So I was in that private school, and then I just kind of left. It just wasn't for me. My passion for it just kind of went down, and I was kind of bouncing around through different sixth forms around that time. And you know, in that time, I wasn't active. I didn't really know anything about the gym, and so I just got a little bit chubby. And that was it. And so in my final sixth form, my sixth form college, my boys, they went to uni a year ahead of me, so it was literally just me. So I went to uni just a year after them, sorry. And in that time, it was just me. I just was focusing like I am now on my A-levels, and then I decided to go to the gym. And so I just would have time to go to the gym with like free periods and stuff during uni. So that was like 2018. And so that's when I really started picking up weights, met some good friends, the managers at the gym, who really sort of helped me in terms of just getting used to, well, my goal was weight loss. Even though I wasn't massively fat, my goal was weight loss. But they helped me in terms of knowing to get around the gym, knowing what works, knowing what I should do. And from there, it was just game over. I just loved it. Just loved lifting heavy, loved just training hard, and then it just kind of spurred into where I'm at now.
Did you find like you responded very, very quickly from a weight training perspective?
Yeah, like no.
Like comparative to your friends, did your friends look at you and think, what the hell are you doing in comparison to me?
Honorable mention, me and my friend Rob, we joined the gym at the same time, and you know, it was just, he stopped coming with me after a little period of time because we were just a little bit at different stages. I remember when I was training with the manager, and he happened to load me up. I was squatting a lot heavier than I was now. So I was squatting around that time 200 kg when I just started, like 5 months after when I first just got in the gym. And I think just because from a football stance anyway, your legs, you're developing your legs from that point anyway. But I was terrible at bench. I was terrible at deadlifting. But squatting was just where I kind of like progressed a bit.
Did you, just on a quick note, with your leg training when you first started, because I come from a footballing background as well, did you find you have had like a massive imbalance between one leg? Because I was I'm left-footed, so and throughout my football sort of journey, I was a lot of the time just using my left foot. I was using right, of course, but when I came to using the gym, I found that one side was just that's when I noticed there was a massive imbalance with what I was doing. And my left leg was so more dominant compared to my right leg that even just looking at my physique, like there was an imbalance there. You could tell that one leg was bigger than the other. Did you find the same with yourself through just football and having imbalances from playing football when it came to the gym, and that affected it a little bit?
To be fair, I don't think I actually noticed, because half the time we would do a lot of one-legged work. So like unilateral work on my legs. So it wouldn't even be, I didn't really notice a significant difference, to be fair, which was cool. But now I'm looking back at it, you know, right side was a lot stronger. My right side was my whole right side. So it wasn't just my legs; it was actually just my arms as well. Me just using my arms in general. I remember there was a period of time where I was bicep curling 15 kg, and the other hand was 12 kg, and I was just like, I'm just trying to work it out, just because one was so much weaker than the other. So I'm not too sure why, to be fair. I think, especially now, as I start to look at these little things, and I'm researching muscle imbalances, it's like we actually do use like one side of our body more in some cases. So
100%. And I what I found is I'll spend, especially when I first started training and had these imbalances from football, I was trying to focus so much on pinpointing why I had that I just needed more time. And then eventually my physique actually just balanced out within itself. Yeah, there's obviously still imbalances, but they're not as bad as what they were before. It's just, I just needed way more time. And I think to people, because I've had that question before about imbalances from just playing football, because, you know, you use one leg more than the other. And I tell them it's just more of a time thing. Like I find that sort of thing just balances out, and your weaker leg actually catches up with your stronger leg.
Sure.
There is a connection difference, obviously. I feel like one's obviously your stronger side, you connect more better, but yeah, just taking more time with that. So how long have you actually been training now in total?
I was great. What, from I think we're in 2020, so about, it's going on nearly 3 years now. So about 3 years now.
Ridiculous. Still insane.
and so my question now is how has your training evolved over time? So what sort of split setup did you start? Because obviously I know you mentioned you had guidance when you first started. So what sort of setup was you doing in terms of, were you doing the bro split? Because I definitely was doing the bro split, and then I kind of evolved. So how has your training changed over the past like 3 years or so? Because for someone like yourself who's only been trained 3 years, your progress is crazy, light and day crazy. That's something I'd do in 15 years, you know. So how's it evolved over time, man?
Double it.
I mean, I had good people around me, so they kind of set me up on push-pull legs. So that was just standard. It was actually chest and triceps, back and biceps, legs and shoulders together. So that was how I kind of trained for a while. And then I went on to the bro split. I thoroughly enjoyed the bro split. The push-pull legs for me was great. But when I got into uni and I really started taking my training up a notch, I was like, okay, I've got the time. Let me put in work in just training this body part every session, and the next session I'll come do the next body part, and that just kind of worked for me. I really liked that. And then, you know, but again, I wasn't managing all the other variables to really give a well-informed answer as to whether it is better than what I'm doing now, which is obviously just the same push-pull legs. So yeah, I think I came to AJ last year, March, and so before then I was literally just coming off a one body part session, and that was me. It was really enjoyable, because when you're focusing all your movements, I was probably picking like 4 or 5 exercises per body part, and now when we're doing push, and I'm having to do push chest and shoulders together, I was very new to it. Like, even when he set me up on the program, I was like, whoa, okay. So I'm actually having to firstly bring down all the volume and miss out some of my favorite exercises, but it works, and definitely works with where I'm at now. So yeah, for sure.
Do you find there was quite a significant volume shift then from like when you were training prior to joining myself, and then obviously set you up on that initial program? Was it a decent, obviously you're doing slightly more frequency in terms of the push-pull legs versus a bro split across the course of the week. But did you find that actually intra-session, like during the sessions themselves, they were a little bit lower in total volume per session?
Yeah, for sure. Because I never really used to train with rep ranges.
Okay.
I used to just train with sets. So I didn't really have like top sets or back off sets.
Okay.
I'll just have like, what I kind of did, they were like heavy sets, and then the rest were just like volume sets, I guess. And these are just things that I picked up off people that I'd watched, or people that I'd followed on Instagram. And there was one guy who just didn't train with rep ranges, and then even looking at the old school bodybuilders, I kind of drew a lot of inspiration from them, especially like legs. You know, when I would watch Tom Platz, this guy just doesn't train with any rep ranges. He goes like talking about 50 reps. I mean, I wasn't doing 50 reps, but I just certainly wasn't counting my reps. And
okay,
that was just how I did things and how I knew to do things around the time. So bench, I just built a lot of endurance during my exercises. So the volume of now coming down was it made me more structured, and I really enjoyed it. I loved working with a rep range. I loved actually pushing myself to get a weight within the rep ranges that you would set. And I think that just works, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think when you have like clarity on like what the goal is within a set, you're going into it with more intent, and obviously your accuracy. You know, you don't post a huge amount of training footage on your Instagram. I mean, you don't post a huge amount on there. I know you're not a huge social media user, and you have your select social time, and that's it, which I think is very, very smart. But when you do post clips, and when I have trained with you, the one thing that does stand out is that you do move heavyweight with really good form. You know, your form is always been really, really good ever since, you know, you started coaching. You know, like full depth leg presses, you know, really, really strong, incline presses. I think one of the comments on our push day that we did together was, why does David take his press to full depth and you don't? Like, fuck you. So yeah, your presses have always been really clean. So yeah, I think that's something that I've definitely sort of seen in yourself, is that your training accuracy was already there, and it just really came down to making some slight manipulations in terms of just getting your volume to a point where you can start to drive up strength, which I think we've really noticed.
Yeah.
And showing in your look dramatically. Even recently, you know, you've made some big improvements even with home training. From a nutrition standpoint, I'll talk a little bit more about training if we've got any select questions in the later stage of the podcast. But nutrition, how did you like when you started bodybuilding? How did you eat? You know, what did a daily diet look like when you just started training?
So it was high protein, very high protein, low carb, medium fat. So I'd probably say it was about 250. I remember the numbers: about 250 protein, about 150 carb, about 60 fat.
Yes.
And so protein, situated throughout the day. my carb is it's hilarious because I was saying my carb intakes were only really in the mornings and not even around the training window. I just got hungry in the morning. Like, you can see how backwards I did things. You know, I was really only just hungry in the mornings, and then this is when I started to get training serious. Started to take training serious. So when I realized, okay, cool, I'm getting burnt out now because I'd only really take carbs post my cardio in the mornings, and so that would just fill me up and I'll be good to go. And then I remember I'd been doing this for a couple of months and I was like, oh, I'm getting burnt out. And I was just sitting there with my friend at the time. I was like 10K challenge, and we happened just to do a 10K calorie challenge. Just stupid, isn't it? But did it, and when I mean the next morning, it was just the best I've ever looked because my body was just soaked in absolutely every form, every ounce of the carbohydrates. That I think I've even got a picture on Instagram of, and that was how I got into that kind of condition. So my nutrition, it made me disciplined though, being on that kind of like low carb, because I just knew that, okay, no, this is what I know right now. It's a small amount of knowledge, but I'm just going to adhere to it and see and learn and just develop from there. And so that's what I did. And so after that 10K challenge, I realized, okay, carbs not the enemy firstly, and let's just start pushing them up. So it went up to 250, went up to 300, and then just started stabilizing until I just kind of took some time off the gym, because was going through a lot at the time. So just kind of took some time off the gym and just chilled. And then I met you.
You should have done on your carb up last year. You should have depleted yourself so much leading up to it and just done 10K the night before.
Legit.
10K the night before, woke up best ever.
Still would have won by a country mile.
I have no doubt about that. You know, I have no doubt.
Neither do I.
It was good though. It was an experience for sure.
From a nutrition front, like you said, you had your friends obviously around you for training. Did you ever read like any articles on nutrition? Like a lot of obviously bodybuilders, I think with some of the first diets I read were in Flex magazine, and I started following some of those diets and proceeded to get extremely fat off of them. Like trying out Kai's diet, trying a bit of Phil's. 100%, mate. Following the protein servings as well. But like, where did you learn like any of the like first nutrition bits? Was it copying a friend's diet, or did you have a friend help you or whatever?
Honestly, bro, when I mean I'm so new and naive to the sport, it's insane. Like, when you're going into weight loss, it's all people know to talk about is low carb, or in fact they'll talk about keto, and I think keto is just madness. But I just adopted the low carb just off what I was looking for in terms of weight loss, and I kind of carried that on into my weight training. And so I didn't really know of any bodybuilders back then. I didn't really follow any bodybuilders back then. I didn't know even where to look for all of these kind of things. I just kind of just developed this thing by myself, and just I kind of looked at how I was eating before and just adapted it a little bit, by considerably bringing down my carbohydrates to fit in with like the low carb. So I'd research low carb diets, I'd research that kind of thing, from just like normal nutritionists, I guess. But I'd always know that, okay, wait, I'm trying to build muscle, I'm trying to lose fat, you need a lot of protein. So that's where the idea of protein came from. I knew the sort of amount that I needed, and then my fats, I didn't want it to be too low or too high. And then these are all just things that literally I just picked up off the internet, off Google, and I would just learn and just try and adapt it to myself. And
you've always followed macros in terms of 250 protein. You've not followed meal plans or anything like that you put together, or was it just a case of macros throughout?
Just macros throughout. So with regards to nutrition plans, I remember when I signed up with I didn't really sign up with a coach, but I happened to pay for some knowledge from a coach. and he happened to do me sort of nutrition plan or guide, and so I just kind of picked up the food choices from there, the kind of measurements from there and stuff like that, which was interesting because it was the first time I ever saw Cocoa Pops on a flipping nutrition plan, and that was insane because I was just sticking to flipping, I don't know, bagel thins and egg whites and, you know, chicken and peas or whatever it was at the time. And yeah, that was me. And I think even a lot of my nutrition I'd watch from, I didn't know that they were even prepping at the time, but I'd watch a lot of prep videos, not knowing that they were prepping. And that's what like I'd see their transcripts and it'd say that this is what they were eating and stuff like that. And so I was like, oh, okay, cool. So this is what I got to do, because I was really striving for that time to get into that kind of stage condition. I'd look at guys and I'd think, how the heck are you able to get yourself in that kind of condition? And I made it like my kind of goal that was what disciplined me to sort of see how I could without any help. I mean, I was in uni, I wasn't going to pay for a coach at the time. I was in my first year, sorry. So not that I didn't have money, I just spent all my money. So yeah, that was it, but for sure. Just strictly macros.
Yeah, I think from a nutrition standpoint, a lot of people start with maybe the wrong approach, and they slowly get to where they need to be in terms of whether it's tracking with macros, whether it's a meal plan, whether it's having a coach. Seems to be that you got off to a pretty decent start in the grand scheme of things. It wasn't necessarily bad. You obviously did a diet. You almost reverse dieted out of that phase by adding in carbohydrates, or 10,000 calorie challenge. So yeah, it seems to be you had a pretty decent start to things. I want to ask, like, when did you realize that bodybuilding was a thing? Who was the first bodybuilder you ever saw on Instagram or online or in a magazine? Like, who was the first bodybuilder that you actually saw?
It was a Gymshark athlete, some guy called Uzoma. Okay. So he had like some freaky chest thing that I saw.
Oh, the alien chest kid.
Yeah,
I've seen him. Yeah,
that was the first bodybuilder I saw, and he was prepping at the time, and he was huge. As in, like, he'd gotten so big that he was prepping from such a big body fat percentage, and so it was just interesting watching his journey. And then alongside him was Jack Forban, and I'd watched him. I saw his lifestyle, and I was just like, what the heck? I was like, wow, this is just insane.
He's a true alien,
mate.
It's from another planet.
And around the time, you know, Jack had a real big bravado about him, and I liked it. I really resonated with him. It was so cool. Like, to me, I felt like he was just such a cool person, so I just followed him. And he didn't even have, like, I think he was still, I don't think he was on double digit followers at the time. He was still like, you could just see he loved the sport. He loved his trainers as well, and he just loved the sport. And so I was just watching him, and he just got into some crazy condition, just ridiculous condition, and I was just shocked again. But those were the two guys that I looked at, and I was like, okay, cool, you guys look amazing. It will be good to someday replicate that, and that was it.
When you sent your application across to me, what was your expectations? What was your goal? Like, what did you truly want to achieve? Because from my perspective, you always come across as someone that's very humble, and you didn't really realize your potential until I started to actually tell you what it was. So when you sent the application, what did you think was going to be the goal? What did you think we were going to try and achieve together?
It was interesting because I actually didn't even know that I had the application. So the application was actually my drafts. And because I think I got in contact with you like maybe a couple months prior by email.
You did. I remember on Instagram, first of all. Yeah.
So I got in contact with you on Instagram, and then I emailed you just to say, okay, wait, I have like a time frame of when I'd like to just get into some kind of good condition by it. And your response was so good. It was so as expected, and I was like, yeah, cool. This guy is serious, and this is his sport. And so I didn't come back. I was literally just sitting in my mum's office at the time, and I saw this, email with the details of 4 months ago, by the way, still there. And I was just like, oh, he ain't gonna get back anyway. So I just press send, legit, with no expectation, with no anything. I didn't have no shows in mind. I didn't have anything in mind. I just sent it. And then you got back the day after with your response. And I was like, oh snap, this is for real. I was like, oh snap. And then it just kind of went along from there. So as I saw you were saying all these things and taking it serious, I was like, okay, cool, wait, Ladi, you got to, take it serious now, because I didn't have any kind of expectation of it. And so when I'd watch your feedback with my family, and then you would say these things about potential and stuff, and my mum would look at me, she'd be like, are you sure he's not rubbing your leg or something? Like, are you sure?
Watson.
Because they all look at me and they all know me, and I walk around the house and it's normal. It's not anything new. So when it comes to all of this, I was just like, oh, okay, cool. This is real cool. I didn't really know how to react to what you were saying, apart from, okay, let me just take it on the chin. This guy has really good, high expectations for me, and let me just run with it, and that was that. So when it came around to prepping, I think we weren't even supposed to prep for last year. It was supposed to be for this year.
Yeah.
And then I remember I was actually at goals with my boys, and I was like football, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to. I kind of just thought to myself, I can't prep next year. I've got uni.
Yeah, I remember you sending me the voice note, or I think it was a voice note.
Yeah,
I was on a walk. I was doing steps. I was right at the end of the steps. I can remember exactly where I was as well when I replied. So I was like, yeah, oh, why not? We need to start like right now. But let's do it.
And then that's when everything clicked. So I was like, okay, cool. This is it. Like this is it. So cool. Like, even before I messaged you, I called my parents just to make sure that we were good, like I was good to go, in terms of just to have their support, just letting them know what prep would be like, or what I thought prep would be like, and then I just sent you the message, and that was it. Game.
Yeah, I think like that just shows like that we didn't actually plan to prep last year at all, like. And that from that voice note, I think I went literally back to my laptop, back to my computer, and gave you the macros to start dieting straight away. Like that's literally how it was, because we were in such a weird phase of time where we didn't know what was going to happen with shows. We didn't have any real true clarity. And it was the same with Finn. I said to Finn, I was like, and Connor and Mike as well, who competed also. I just said to them all, like, we don't know exactly what's going to happen here, but I'm prepping. I'm going to go through the whole process. And I think as we did it as sort of like a little group, it was a small group of us, but it was solid. And obviously, I think pretty much the exact version of what I said in that application response happened, which is a nice reminder of the fact that I don't just blow smoke. And that's a really important thing as a coach as well, is that, when you do spot true potential, note it, give it the praise it needs, because I think a lot of the time coaches are afraid to be one end or the other. Like they're afraid to blow too much smoke and be that coach that like literally blows everyone's trumpet. So they don't give anyone any praise. So when they get a great proposal or inquiry, they don't jump on it and they don't tell the person that they have that kind of potential. And then if I maybe hadn't filled you with that kind of confidence, not that you need it, but it kind of helped you and made you think, I actually really want to go ahead and do this. If I've got this kind of potential, it's really important to sort of be honest. So yeah, I remember being buzzing when we got started. So I knew the potential just from the start and images, just for anyone that hasn't seen David's physique, the way the muscle sits and just the insertion points, the roundness, you knew that it was just going to be a very, very, very exciting prospect. So, and it continues to be that. George, have you got any direction that you want to take?
Should we cover the prep side of things last year?
Okay.
Cover how well prep went. Obviously, I know AJ, you know a lot of it anyway, but for me and a lot of others, how long, talk us through the prep, talk us through, how long it was in total, how much you lost, did you expect to be as good as what you did? What was your thoughts throughout the prep? Did you have any struggles? Did you have anything that improved? Just, dive into the prep. Tell us all about it.
Yeah, so the prep was great. I think it was about 19 weeks in total, I think.
I'm literally just looking at your sheets. It was, just over 19 weeks. It was 21 for the final. It was 22 if you count the fact that we almost made it to the BNBF finals.
Yeah. So about 22. I think we started at about 205, 204, around that mark. And I think the lowest I came to was about 179, I think.
205 to 180, 179. Yeah.
So a good chunk off. And of course, going in with no expectations, I was very reliant on AJ's foresight. He kind of just saw things as they were. The early stages were fine. One thing that I was actually shocked at was just the fact that I could pick my own meals. So I kind of had my own meal plan, just and stuck to it. And as calories came down, would adjust it slightly. Which actually, to note, on my next prep, would probably favour an actual meal plan, which I'm sure.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. Definitely.
Something I've definitely changed my mind on over the last 12 months is meal plans.
Yeah, for sure. Because my as it got tougher, it was like, okay, I'm gonna have to miss out on this meal. I'm gonna have to miss out on that meal, and that just wasn't like a nice feeling to have. Yeah, because you kind of get emotionally attached to your food, don't you? So,
just a quick one on that one. And did you get to a point where, obviously yours on macros, you started to be a little maybe? So for me, I used to start adding in like the 10 cal jellies. I started adding like the baking powder to the oats to expand it a little bit more. Did you get to a point where you started to, hang on, I've got these macros now, I might be a little bit like, I tried to fit in one day popcorn once into my diet, and I look back and I think, why the fuck did I do that? What did that? Did you ever get down that sort of route? Or was it sort of your just regiment with the meals that you knew work?
Nah. If I'd get like low calorie ice creams, like the Halo tops and stuff like that. AJ's looking at me now. I'm just like,
this is why I just like anyone that preps is just getting a fucking meal plan. Like, that's it. I can't trust anyone with macros anymore. I just can't. Halo top.
Mate, I was legit. I had such a massive sweet tooth during prep, like one that was just so random. I got into eating oats as well. I never really liked oats until prep. And then they all of a sudden became the best thing ever. And so I just started having them every night before bed. And to be fair, I kind of got a lot of my inspiration from, like, food-wise, from your videos, George. Because I watched your honestly. So,
to be fair, actually George ate very well during his prep.
I mean, your replacement of protein, you use like egg whites and stuff like that instead of just to get volume up. So there was like different, I wouldn't say cheat codes, but little methods that you could sort of get the volume of your food up to be a bit more satisfied. But yeah, the most for me, it was just balance. That was the main thing during prep. I look back on it now and I don't think it was easy. It wasn't easy, but it was just maintaining that sort of internal balance that would allow me to keep going with the process. Because there was so much going on externally in terms of, like, I had a lot of free time. Firstly, I wasn't in uni, but in terms of like my relationships, in terms of, COVID, in terms of just trying to monitor how I was feeling, I really had to have a like balance inside of me. I really had to like just stay true and kind of like just find the fire inside of me that could allow me to just go out and do each day as it came. And so it was tough because prep, it kind of makes you bare. It makes you like so raw. Like you're emotionally raw. Like my family saw how emotional I was. They saw how, and bear in mind, it doesn't have to be. It was just like a lot of things come out that you're like, okay, you didn't deal with this before, so you're dealing with it now with this sort of reduction in not just food but like mood and stuff like that. So those were the challenges, I'd say, just kind of maintaining, growing, during that time. Those like internally growing, those were like the bigger challenges, because you don't want to. I wouldn't have entered this sport if it was something that I felt like would take away from who I was, or would take away from my relationships, or would take away from, you know, who I want to be as a person. But the fact that I was able to just kind of turn around the challenges and make them kind of like strengths, showed that the sport actually added to me, and the prep was probably one of the best experiences I went through personally, because it made me very simple. It made me so simple. Oh my gosh, like it was ridiculous how simple it made me, because especially where, you know, we were now looking, I was coming and checking in every day with AJ, and I was just, looking at what was underneath my clothes, rather than going out and thinking, okay, I've got to wear this, I've got to wear that to the gym. You just live quite a simple lifestyle. And I enjoy that. I really did enjoy that. So after prep, legit, so many things changed. Like all your clothes and stuff that you worry about, like your designers and all that, I literally just charity, just gave it away, because you just kind of don't even need it anymore, because you're just kind of focused on something else. You're kind of focused on what you were focused on during prep, if that makes sense. And you kind of know what you need to focus on. So now I'm just a lot more focused because of prep. I just focus on what I need to focus on, which is cool.
In terms of the competition element of the prep itself, I know that it was a little bit different with COVID and the restrictions, and the fact that the whole event was not what it normally is.
Yeah.
But in terms of bodybuilding, getting on stage, like, did you enjoy it as much as you thought you would? Did you like the aspect of getting on stage with other people and ultimately, you know, winning a competition-based sport? What did you think of the day?
It was fantastic. Honestly, it was a great experience. You know, on the day I was more, honestly, I was just more, you know, concerned about whether I crap myself on stage doing all the knocking out them poses. But apart from that, it was just a great experience. If COVID wasn't there, like, I feel like it would have been, you know, a bit more of a, we would have been a bit more friendly, I guess, or it would have been a bit more like close knitted, especially like backstage. Everyone was like to themselves a bit. Apart from Finn's like the life of the party. When he was backstage, he was just, you know, himself, and that made me just so calm.
Yeah, he loves it.
So he made it very enjoyable for sure. But yeah, legit, we just focused on the day, and the day happened so quickly.
Yeah.
Like, you're only on stage for like, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes, if that, probably less. But yeah, for sure. I'm sure if I was to compete again, no, not if I was, when I compete again, and COVID is not there, it will definitely be a great experience in terms of the community aspect of it.
Yeah.
I was only allowed one of my boys in with me, which, you know, was a bit of a kind of dampened it a little bit, but sick day, great day.
Yeah.
Great day. And winning just kind of topped it off, you know, like the chilling with my boys, coming to see you on the day, the afters, it was just awesome. So yeah.
I think the UKFBA obviously did the best job they could do in the circumstances, and I totally agree with you. You know, obviously, having competed in the past, it's always nice to have the day, like the whole day at the show.
Yeah.
You know, you get there in the morning, you register with everyone, everyone's excited and buzzing for it. You sit in the audience, you watch everyone else compete.
Yeah.
So I would have been there for you, watching you on stage, and instead I was getting tanned whilst watching a live stream. You know, like, it was not the same. It was not the same, but it was certainly a fun day nevertheless, and then obviously a great job from the UKFBA. And I'm sure you'll be back on one of their stages very, very soon. Outside of that, in terms of, you know, coming out the show itself and away from the competition, obviously, you know, you got given guidance as to what was like the most maybe optimal way, if we want to use that silly word, or the best way to do it. And you know, you sort of had a little bit of an experience post show of like how hard it is. And especially with, you know, but the sounds, obviously with the food element of things, that can't have helped it in terms of having a little bit more food focus through, you know, being a bit more flexible. But yeah, talk us through post show.
So I remember it was just like 2 weeks of just unnecessary food consumption, like legit going to bed ill, waking up just just in a sore state. It was, oh mate, it was just ridiculous. It was, don't get me wrong, like, in fact, the food choices didn't even make sense. Like, it was just not ideal at all. And I think what also didn't help was the fact that the competition got cancelled the day of lockdown.
Yeah.
That was a little bit of a, not that I was upset by it, but I just knew that if I was eating the way I was, I would have still been going to the gym. I would have still, so it wouldn't have been as bad. But yeah, so I just ate a ton of food, and then so 2 weeks gone, you just kind of, you know, replaced how you looked on stage completely. So
you remember how much you gained post show in those 2 weeks?
Is it there? I think it must have been like at least.
Yeah, it's there. It's a lot.
At least, I think. Do you know what, George? I don't think I even filled in my sheets on those 2 weeks of hell, let's call it, because I just knew that it was just a ridiculous number. I went up to like.
You went straight back to your prep style weight.
Straight back to
oh, mate.
It went from 179 to 204.
Oh, fucking
literally just undid 21 weeks of dieting. 2 weeks.
Like, I was like, it was insane. It was actually, and I even got ill after an age. I was, oh wait, yeah, it just got ill. I wonder why, sort of thing. But yeah, it was
perfect reverse.
Exactly.
You literally reversed the entire diet in a very short span of time.
But it's crazy now because I'm sitting at like the heaviest I've been at 207 this morning. And, you know, if I was 205 then 2 weeks after, I imagine if I just kind of like slowly built it up. And I had, you know, people to look at. I looked at AJ, I looked at Kuba, I saw the way that they did their things, and they were a lot stricter. They were, even Finn, I mean, you know, Finn's class, and the way that these guys had that sort of discipline to stay and adhere to the sort of reverse was real cool. Unfortunately, that wasn't how my first prep went, but these are just, again, like I said, like learning curves to bring on to the next prep. And I didn't know that the after prep is actually where the discipline actually needs to heighten so much more, because
to an extent,
health-wise, and these are like when questions come in about, I mean, how disciplined Kuba must have been, especially for competing at the level he's at. You know, these are things that you have to put into perspective when you're asking yourself these kind of questions about if you want to go down that route and if you want to stay where you are and that kind of thing. So again, it was great to have that experience again. I just take these things as learning experiences, and as much as I can, I'm just going to learn, and then I'm going to make a mistake and then just develop from there and progress. So
yeah,
I feel like you've got to go through that. I post show, I had to have I don't know, I look back now and I think, why the fuck did I do any of that shit? But on like a Saturday, I used to have a cheat day. Every Saturday I used cheat day, eat wherever I want. Don't know why. I mean, luckily, well, it wasn't about it to your extent, but every Saturday cheat day. And I look back and think, why on earth am I going to do that? I don't have a clue. I literally don't have a clue. But yeah, I mean, you like I said, you just have to learn that side of things. And, you know, moving forward now, I'm definitely, like you said, you know, you have to be, I find that post show, you have to be even stricter than, not stricter, but you have to hold yourself back more than you did on the actual prep, because all of a sudden that goal goes and you feel a little bit lost, and then you kind of look for food as a comfort.
Yeah.
And then that's where it all starts going downhill. And then trying to get out of that is quite difficult. But considering, you know, it was only 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yes, you gained a fair bit, but you know, people do that for 6 months post show. They just get in that sort of vicious circle of doing that. So although it was not the greatest post show rebound, you know, you've learned a lot in terms of actually identifying it, what you're doing wrong, and putting back, and obviously having accountability with AJ. I'm sure he was knowing what you were sort of doing and saying, hang on, you need to pull back here a little bit because it's going to ruin it. But yeah, I can understand that. So what's moving away from like the prep side of things?
Yeah.
Yeah. How's the home training now been? Because I know obviously we've been in lockdown since God knows how long now. Kind of, is it been optimal, your home training? Is it been what's your setup like at the moment?
So I've got obviously barbells. I've got about 210 key, 210 key. So I'm working with, you know, a decent amount of weight right now, and I've got like a pulley machine with some dumbbells, and so it works. It definitely does. It's just creating ways and methods to still try and progress during this time, and honestly, it's the strongest I've ever been right now, and I'm just really looking forward to getting back into the gym because, you know, I've kind of I need to get more weight. Otherwise, I'm just gonna just be during endurance now with the weight I've got. But honestly, I'm enjoying. You know, I have more than the next person, I guess. So just trying ways to progress, and you know, I really can. So training's again the best it's been. You know, this week's just been a really fantastic week of training, and just priming my body ready to get back into the gyms. That's what it's.
Yeah, I think like me and George talked about it sort of before you came on, is the fact that you've just got to make the most of the circumstances. Like no one is in perfect circumstances. You know, even if you do like even have a facility, that facility may be difficult to get into. That facility may be something that you need or you enjoy having other people within that environment. I've even seen James Hollingshead talk about on podcasts how, you know, Kings feels very odd without anyone else in it, you know, and you're like a lone ranger, which sometimes can feel nice, but when it's for an extended period of time in a big facility, which is just empty, sometimes that feels a bit weird, a bit strange. You know, and a lot of our social aspects for us as bodybuilders, you know, we do have the gym as our, you know, tool for talking to other people in person, you know, and that being taken away is quite difficult. But yeah, you're handling it very, very well. I think a pivotal question that we definitely need to ask before we do end up sort of wrapping up this episode is, you know, what is realistically your top end goal? You know, what is your grand goal with bodybuilding? Where do you realistically want to see yourself ending up? And ultimately, you know, does that involve the assisted side? Equally, you know, I think talking about the conversation that we had on the phone at the end of your prep about what you said in terms of your decision on that front would be insightful for everyone as well.
Yeah. So just referring back to that conversation that we had, obviously it was nice to hear the comments and you know, when we're talking potential wise of both routes, natural and enhanced. For like up until then, it never really been in my view. You know, going down that route, I never knew anything about it. So it was very easy just to be like, okay, I'm very ready to just continue pursuing my natural potential. And even as I am now, very happy to continue pursuing my natural potential. Because, you know, I've never even really done like an off season. I think that's what we said. You know, I haven't been in a gaining phase. So now the expectation is as well when people think that you have the genetics for the sport is like, you know, as if it's gonna happen, like just when. I'm not too sure about that. I just really happy, just making progress, seeking to just learn and grow, as like naturally, and just see the limit that I can get to, and then just keep progressing like that. So for now, the answer is obviously staying natural, just seeing how I can continue growing, really see this off season through. I want to really treat my off season like I did prep, really manage all them variables, because You know, there was so many ways I could have improved that prep, so many ways I could have improved my mentality and mindset, but, you know, behind the prep. And so to say that I would jump on and go down that route now would be very silly of me. And like I said at the beginning, I'm still very new, still very naive to the sport. It's good to have, you know, like a coach. I'll even call him a mentor like AJ, who can kind of shield you away from that kind of stuff that you don't need to hear right now. And then when the time's ready, maybe propose to you that kind of decision where we can, you know, have that kind of conversation. But, you know, for now, it's let's keep going. Yeah.
Because you're still young. You're still like a junior. So I'm acting like I'm fucking 40. I'm myself. You know, them ones people's like, oh, you're such a baby, but realistically, like a year older than me. You know, you've still got plenty of time. You know, you're still doing your studies, so you've still got plenty of time in natural bodybuilding. The stage is always going to be there, all of that. So it's just time. That's what I would say. And you know, you're in a fantastic spot. You know, you've got AJ in your corner. You know, you've came off a good season last year, winning. It's just going to get better and better, I think, mate. I'm excited. You know, when I first saw your physique, actually, I think I was speaking to AJ at the time. I think I might have been up yours, AJ, when I first saw pictures, and I was like, wow, okay, crazy. So you've got the potential, mate. You really do, and you will go far in bodybuilding, 100%. And one thing, just by talking to you today, like AJ said earlier, you're very humble and you're very disciplined, and you know what you want and you know what you want to achieve, and you'll find a way of doing that regardless of what comes in your way. And you seem quite a relaxed person. Like, to me, you seem like you don't stress about what you can't control. You just take it as it is. And for me, I really like that, because I'm sometimes the complete opposite. That up here just drives me crazy. That when I see people like yourself, I think, well, he's done that well just by doing what you've been doing. Just chill out, George. Just enjoy it a little bit more, because sometimes you take away from the enjoyment aspect. So I do actually look up to you a lot, David, mate, in terms of your mindset, and I've learned a lot from this podcast for sure. So yeah, but I appreciate it. I don't know where I'm going there, but I've appreciated that.
Some of the biggest people in the planet are the most relaxed. You know? They are the most chilled. So, and that's something that I see as a character trait within some of just the best bodybuilders around, natural, enhanced. They just seem to mitigate stress so well. Not that David doesn't experience stress, I'm sure you do, but you have always struck me as someone that does just stay nice and chilled. Now, I can remember even when you got bloody COVID, pretty much, like, you're just like, okay, you're gonna be stuck in my room, probably gonna do push-ups and stuff. I'll keep a day with how I feel. And that was it. So yeah, it wasn't great times, but you made it work. And you know, just like now, even with the lockdowns, like, you were the last person to freak out when the lockdowns got released, and you just checked in, said, yeah, AJ, you know, it's locked down, so I'm going to be back to the home training. It's as simple as that. So I think if anyone learns anything from this podcast, one of the biggest things you should take home is that if you are a stressy individual, you should try and just live life a little bit more relaxed. Certainly helps. David, I wanted to finally touch on, if you're okay talking about it a little bit, is essentially what you've been going through for the past month and a bit with the fasting. Just a little bit of a touch on that, because I really like people to sort of understand how you still are looking so incredible, you're still training, but basically just talk a little bit more about a little bit on your faith, and then also how and why your days are looking like the way they look at the moment.
Yeah. So right now, the fast is going on until 6 p.m. every day. So I've been fasting. Been fasting since around January.
January,
11th till now, and so we'll probably finish about mid March. And it's just a way of. It's interesting because you can kind of relate fasting to bodybuilding a little bit. In prep, it's something that you can't eat because you have a goal. This one, there's no real goal. It's just it's a choice. Especially me, I'm a Christian, so it's something that it's what brings me that kind of like balance in terms of being able to sort of like discipline myself, really come to terms with myself, and it kind of makes you like very sober. It makes you like very like, you know, you like when I was talking about you want to focus on what you need to focus on. This is like those kind of like times, and you know, it's interesting because it collides with bodybuilding. I mean, it shouldn't work with bodybuilding. You have to eat like every 3 hours all the time. You have to eat at like 9, 12, 3p. But having to get all my meals in between 6 and 12, it's been interesting because it's just, I've been having to find methods of how to sort of still get my meals in and still feel okay to go train. So I'm training about, you know, sometimes 9 p.m. So I'll train for about an hour and a half. And then, or I might just train straight after I've got my first meal in at 6 p.m. And so it's honestly, I don't see it as any kind of problem. These are the things that I just kind of deal with. And and it's like, there's some things to some people that come first. For me, my faith is something that comes way before anything. And who you see today is legit just a product of that. And so who you will see on stage again will just be a product of that, and that's just how I want to just continue, because a lot of people think that it's great to be impressive in the sport. It really is great to be impressive, and one of the things that I'm actually looking towards building is being a bit more impactful than impressive, because you know, I feel like with the platform that each person has, and how life is so short, you only have a few moments to make our mark, and once you find like your niche, your passion, go for it, man. And these are just ways I'm just trying to use my hours perfectly, because I don't think any person uses their hours perfectly, but I hope to at least make some of them count. And so hopefully in this sport, I'll be able to make some of the hours I put towards the sport count, and outside bodybuilding as well. So until then, just making attempts to progress and seeking to learn, grow spiritually, mentally, physically, and that'll be David. That'll be David that you see. So yeah.
Is that, just quickly, is that something, the fasting side of things, is that something that you've been doing for years, or is that something that you just started doing, or?
Yeah, so I mean, it's something that I only really tapped into my faith like end of 2019.
Okay.
So it's something that's new, and so it was something that I did then, and it's just something I try and incorporate as when I can every single year. You know, I think a lot of like faith groups do it, and they do it for various reasons. For me, it's just kind of like, you know, trying to really get into a mental and spiritual state of learning about myself, learning about my environment, learning about how I can progress and build. And yeah, that's me, man.
I'll give you a lot of credit for that. I respect that a lot. I know that's one thing I noticed actually on your Instagram. You said about being impactful. Like, I noticed that obviously you don't post every single day, or sometimes even on the stories it's not much, but when you do post, and when I do see it, there's a purpose. When I generally say, and this sounds a bit weird, but when I generally actually read like your posts, when you do post, some people obviously they post, I flick through what they've written down, things like that. But when you generally do upload, I generally do have more of an interest, because it's more impactful, and I can see that. And now you've obviously said that, now I can sort of understand that. So with what you're doing, it's working. That's for sure, because even I'm noticing that myself, just looking through your content and stuff like that. So yeah, mate, I've got a lot of credit for doing like that. Just quickly, have you noticed anything good or bad about doing this fast till 6 p.m? Like, obviously doing that post show, have you been fucking starving up to 6 p.m, or totally fine? Is your digestion good? Is there any good come out of it, or bad come out of it at all?
Yeah. So like the past few weeks has been like perfect in terms of like digestion wise. I know like the week before I had a couple of issues with digestion, and especially back when I'd fasted before, it wasn't like I had a certain amount of food to get in. I'd just eat when I wanted to eat, and so I was, you know, I cannot eat, and I can eat. When I can eat, I'll go all out. When I don't want to eat, I just won't eat. Especially because it's a choice. I think they say the same with bodybuilding. I mean, bear in mind, prepping is a choice. So if you're choosing to abstain from food, you're choosing to select your meal timings. And for me, it's the same thing. So with incorporating bodybuilding with it now, it's like, okay, cool. Just trying to find ways to overcome and adapt. So, you know, my intro is full of like what, 50 to 100 grams of Hardy Branch cyclic dextrin, and you got your oat bars, you got your all sorts of different things, you got your protein shake. So just, you know, I'm still gonna find ways to get it in regardless, food wise. And it may not have been optimal, but I know as soon as we come off the fast, it's go time. You know, it is go time, and
absolutely,
I'm excited. I'm really, really excited, and yeah, really excited to see what actually happens. And now, well, April to the year, and then 2022, we'll probably reassess, have a conversation, and then see what happens. So,
awesome. I think we'll wrap it up. Cool. It's been a fantastic episode.
Yeah.
And like we said already, David, we really appreciate you coming on. Really appreciate you sharing your journey with us, and obviously our listeners as well. From a listener's perspective, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for the support on the previous episodes as well. We really appreciate it. They're getting some fantastic traction, and we hope that we can just continue to deliver more of these. I was actually thinking like the other day, if we stay consistent with these all the way into the end of, or the period in which the gyms reopen, we'll get to like up to, I think, episode 11 or 12 by the time the gyms are actually open. So it'll be a good chunk of episodes, and some good content for you guys to stay up to date with some bodybuilding whilst we're not in the gyms. So yeah, appreciate it. And we will chat in the next episode.